Audio Acoustics Hearing Centers, highly credentialed hearing care you can trust. On this testimonial, we visited with George Jackson. We asked Mr. Jackson, what was it like before you got your hearing aids?
Well, I had disconnected myself from most of my family and friends and business associates, and it just kind of happened over a period of time. I really didn't realize that I was disconnecting, and it was because I was slowly losing my hearing. And my hearing loss was from varying sources, military service, chemotherapy and medical reasons, and then just age and things that, loud noises that we have in our life. But I slowly began to lose it, and my hearing, and I just wasn't aware of it. And then my friends and family began to remind me of things, and I'd say I didn't hear that. And it became easier and easier day by day to disconnect from the world around me. Mm-hmm. And that became a real hazard because it affected my relationships with my family and with my friends, and it affected my business relationships. And so finally I was forced to acknowledge, put my pride aside and acknowledge that I might have a need.
How did you hear about Audio Acoustics Hearing Centers?
Well, from another very satisfied customer, which is a family member. My father had tried multiple hearing places all of his life, and I guess he's been to pretty much every one in the whole West Texas area in his 70 or 80 years of searching. So I decided if I was going to find out which was the very best and not waste a lot of time, I'd ask a man who had been to every one of them. And he was quick to tell me about Audio Acoustics, and Dr. Tony Mann, who took such great care and met his specific needs. So it just made it natural for me to take the recommendation of someone who had gone through all of those phases.
How were you treated once you came to Audio Acoustics?
I just was very concerned that very bashful about admitting I might have a loss, even after it was acknowledged that I had one, and graciously you and the staff offered me an opportunity to have a hearing test and an extended hearing test. And I'd had some at various times in my life, but none as extensive as I had here, which really truly pinpointed where the hearing loss came from.
How have your loved ones' voices changed since you got your hearing aids?
Well, my wife and my 3 daughters indicated to me that I had much selective hearing and that I just didn't pay attention to them. And the reality was, the harsh reality was, I was losing much of the tones of the female voice. So the feminine voice, I just lost a whole lot of all the highs, and it just became so easy to not pay attention because I couldn't hear, and I got tired and embarrassed of asking questions, asking, what did you say, and what did they say, and it became really troublesome. So then when I was fitted with these devices that were electronic, that corrected automatically all of these hearing deficiencies that I had, and it kind of gave me 20/20 hearing, if you will, I was astounded. I went outside, I got near the traffic and turned my back to my wife, and I could hear every word she said.
What were some of the concerns you had before buying your hearing aids?
Well, you know, I spent a whole visit here trying to determine what kind of device did I want because of the vanity that I have. Most men would never acknowledge or admit that they have a little vanity, but all of us men do. I thought, well, I've got to have this specific one that no one can see because I don't want anybody to know that I have a deficiency in some way. And then finally, you and your staff helped me understand this is not necessarily a deficiency, but this is the ability to restore something that nature itself has diminished in my life. So it's not a deficiency, it only remains a deficiency if I don't do something about it. So I looked at a number of different devices that might meet my need, and with good counseling from you and the staff, I determined that it was worth to me to have the option to have the external ability to change the tone, change the muting, change settings at a moment's glance where no one in the setting would even know. And once I made that decision, everything just fell into place.
Is background noise a problem now that you have hearing aids?
Yes, background noise is not nearly the problem that I had anticipated that it might be. I had a lot of friends that had had hearing devices, and it seemed to be that background noises always complicated their hearing, frustrated them a great deal. In fact, it even brought them to a conclusion that they just couldn't be helped and they'd stop wearing the device. So I had to make up my mind that if that ever became an issue, that I was going to stick with it and work through it. But because of audio acoustics equipment, I never had that problem. And audio acoustics is the place that's made that happen for me. I've never had to wait to get batteries. I just walk in and they're available. Someone's always available to help me fit my device or do anything I need, cleaning. So the ongoing maintenance has really been a blessing to me to be able to have that, and the security of knowing I could come in, and not only at this location, but in other locations that are available to me in my travels, in my business travels. So I can go to any one of 4 or 5 cities and find this same good quality on-the-spot service, and be pleased to be able to recommend people in those areas to go as well.
Audio Acoustics Hearing Centers, connecting people to people with better hearing.